We are a group of friends, bound by our appreciation for liberty and good podcasting. Free-minded thinkers from all walks of life, our values come together with one accord to discuss the common culture and news of the day, along with whatever random crap is going on in our lives. Welcome to the Union of the Unknowns.
Hello there. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Union of the Unknowns. Always grateful to have your company. I am Stella Q, and here with my wonderful team, Ashley. Think, change, repeat. As usual, you're always a face here on the Unknowns, a little bit more known than the other unknowns, I guess.
Hello there. Happy to be here, everyone. Good evening to you.
And we also have a big Perm with us tonight. Good to have you here, Perm.
Hey, good to see you guys.
We've got a pretty important show today. We're going to talk about something that's very relevant to everybody. It's very interesting and it's extremely important. We have had a couple on recently, 3 months ago, talking about the same thing, Brian and Jenna, who then put us in touch with our guest tonight, who is Lark in Texas. We're going to talk about communitarianism. So rather than me bang on about it, I'd prefer that Lark, who's been at this for many, many years, 20 years research, I believe,
Yes.
he's the man. He's the man. So, Lark, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, thank you.
Would you like?
Let me. I'm so sorry.
No, you're right. I was just going to say, how would you like to kick off? Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, or do you just want to go straight into the subject itself? That's up to you.
Well, let me just briefly tell you that I am nobody's expert about anything. Okay, the expert that matters is you. Always keep this in mind. The only expert that matters at the end of the day is you. And so don't think of me as an expert. I've been at this a long time because I thought it was important that somebody had to stay with it and keep researching and keep researching. You know, we lost Nikki Rapana June 15th, 2022, age 65. And so, we lost quite a lot.
Rest in peace, Nikki. Yes.
Yeah.
So is this the basis of your work, is her work, or were you already at it before you came across Nikki?
No, I first got online in 2004 because somebody wanted to buy into my business. And they were surprised that I was not online. And I didn't want to be online. But, he was going to offer $500,000 for 50% of the business. And he said that he really wanted to bring the business into the 20th century. So him and his wife were both very well educated. And anyway, I won't bore you with that story, but the bottom line is that I came kicking and screaming into this world of cyberspace because, frankly, I didn't need it. The last business I had, I did business in all over the United States. I had the largest inventory under one roof in 5 states. And I knew everybody. I just knew everybody. But so then within just a few short months, I ran across this word communitarianism. And I said to myself, well, what the hell is that? I've never seen this word. I looked it up very quickly. I learned about Nikki's blog. And so I was delighted that somebody was all over this, besides me and very few others. And so I felt like I was there to support Nikki at first because I didn't really want to be public. After all, I was a business person. I didn't give a damn about politics. I still don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody should put their TVs to the curb like yesterday. And you're going to see that there's going to come a time when it's going to be true of all your smart devices, your PCs, your laptops, your smartphones, etc. We're going to see this tech for what it is. It is the principal instrument of our enslavement. So anyway, I tried to make things simple in terms of this latest website. I had stopped publishing since about 2011 and 12, 13. So in 2020, I decided to throw up this current website just so I can, because I pulled most of it from correspondence, email correspondence. It only took me a couple days to put it up there. But, you know, I wanted to leave something that would be helpful to people. That was the only reason I did it. So what you see at my website is really the cliff notes of this subject. And communitarianism, for whatever it's worth to you or your listeners, it's the most important word in the English vocabulary that nobody talks about. Nobody. And the reason it's important is because it's attached at the hip to communitarian law. Now, this law was 80 years in the making. It's the law of the European Union. And it is the model legal underpinning for global governance in a hyper-connected world today. And so, naturally, my lament is that people don't seem to think this is fucking worth talking about. Excuse my French. And I've been goddamn mad forever. I'm still angry. And, but, you know, I want some younger people in their teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s to take this up. I'm working on getting a website put together so that it can't be destroyed. And people can use the words, they could steal them. And I recommend that people, when they look at this information, that they reword it, repurpose it, and make it their own. Whatever they think resonates. Because that's the only way you're going to ever inculcate this material onto yourself, because you have to own it.
Yeah, you've got to get their attention first. I think that's the hard part. And keep it. That's the harder part.
Yeah, well, let me
So-
tell you something. I've been very angry for a long time, and I used to be a punk back in the 80s. You know, so, you know, I kind of have I have an attitude, and I can't help it. But the stupidity that I've encountered over these past 20 years has been astonishing. Just astonishing. So I'm sorry to be so blunt, because I realize that most people probably have never heard this word. Nobody they know knows this word. They don't talk about it on the TV, do they? You never see it in your local newspapers. But I can tell you this. I learned about something called Google Alerts back in 2004. And so I thought, okay, I can sign up, and Google's going to tell me wherever this word appears on the internet. So I just put the word communitarian. And I'm telling you, I used to get 10, 20, 30 hits a day for years. Years. And in the last, I would say 5 or 10 years, it's completely dried up. And this is this is not by happenstance. It's by design. Now, I sent you a link to some young people in their 30s. You'll see it at the top of the email that I sent to y'all. Now, you could play that, and that may actually be indicative of what we're faced here with. In other words, it's called algorithmic governance. or an algocracy. Because see, these people, these uber-rich capitalists of transgenerational wealth, they want a world that's run by machine. It's more efficient. It's more economical. And I keep trying to tell people, communitarianism is the synthesis of the thesis, capitalism, juxtaposed against its antithesis, communism.
Yeah.
So capitalism and communism have collided. They've merged. They've joined forces. Now, you could talk about technocracy. You could talk about progressivism. You could call it stakeholder capitalism, humanism, scientism. You can call it any damn thing you want. But the word is communitarianism. The law is communitarian law. In the French, it's acquis communautaire. In Europe, the BBC, they'll say community law or EU law, or they'll say community acquis. But that's to keep the people stupid. They don't know what it is. They have no clue what communitarian law is and how this affects them and their supposed rights. Because in a communitarian system, nobody has rights. Stick this in your craw. Nobody has rights which are unaccompanied by duties and responsibilities. End of story.
All right. If I could just interject there, we'll just lay a little sort of a foundation for people who've never heard the word before and they have no idea really what it is. Would it be fair to say, and I remember Jenna saying this, that it was basically take all the isms and, well, in a sense, throw them into a blender, I suppose. You could probably throw a frog in as well and stick it on high, and you've basically got communitarianism.
That's right. That's fair enough.
Yeah. So it's sort of the umbrella of all the isms, I guess. Something
now,
we
my
have
website, there's
wary
an
of, and
entry.
it's no. I'm sorry.
At my website, there's an entry titled "Lark on Communitarianism." Now, it provides a link to something called the ism book. So, if you wish, I'm not saying my list is perfect, but I'm going to tell you, I agonized over every entry, every ism inclusive within that.
Great. Okay. Excellent resource.
So
I would recommend that you figure it out. I mean, you think I got it wrong, then that's well and good.
And Lark, that is a comprehensive, maybe not comprehensive, but a reading list that you recommend to people. Is that correct?
That's right. It's concise yet comprehensive.
Perfect. That was one of the things
that was my charge. That was my task.
Yes, that was one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is what could they read or what would you consider to be essential to understanding this? So that's great.
Let me tell you something. You can read every damn word at my website in 1 hour. 1 hour. It's not rocket scientists. You do not have to be smart with a big vocabulary or anything like that. The very first entry at that website, it's called 3 C's and a few words more. It explains how I suggest that you navigate the site. Now, you don't have to follow my lead, but I think it would be helpful. That's why I say, you know what? Younger people today, they're going to have to own this information. Okay? Because your entire future is on the line. You want to own a home. You want to have the house on the hill. You want to have children and grandchildren. I don't care what it is that you want in your life. You're not going to be able to accomplish it because these friggin' people want to enslave you.
Yep. Let's talk about the origins of where this all came from. Now, you've already mentioned the United Nations. Can we go back to the roots of all this and how old this whole agenda is? Because some could say it's centuries old, really, if you want to go there. But let's talk about, Council for Foreign Relations, United Nations sort of end of it. Can we start with a little bit of foundation there, please, Lark?
Well, sure. However, I don't like to get mired in the weeds because you can be, let's put it this way. You could look at every individual ism which comprises this all-encompassing ism or school of thought known as communitarianism. Now,
Yeah,
you could
okay.
throw a million words at each one of those. I'm serious. A million.
So would you
And
say it's more like it's an evolution, that communitarianism is more like an evolution of all the other isms that have evolved into communitarianism now?
it's a gigantic scam. There's another entry there. It's called On Communitarianism, Collected Musings, April 2020. It has an asterisk in front of it. You can't miss it. It's at the bottom.
Could we throw that
You
link
know.
in the chats there, please,
So
Ashley?
you think of it like a scroll. Okay, when you go to that page, it's a scroll. Okay, just scroll down. Everything is there. It's visible. Every entry.
Mm.
And you're going to see that there's video tutorials available to you, short and sweet. And it's going to be helpful. You know, really, the fact that the truth of it is this. I dearly want to have conversations with younger people that are completely, I mean, these are, you. In fact, you three or so fill the bill, in my opinion. You people are serious. You're not ha-ha people. You know, I like you. I've listened to some of your stuff so I could learn about you. Okay, you guys have it going on, in my opinion. But I want desperately to find some young people to look at this material and realize, you know what? This is goddamn important. And we're not talking about it.
Mm. Yeah.
That's
how to
the
bridge that
fact.
gap, isn't it? It's how to bridge that gap and how to get yourself in front of these young people somehow without the authorities stopping you, because I've heard of this happening a number of times, community halls being hired, etc., for information nights, and then suddenly councils just go, oh no, sorry, it's not available anymore, when they find out what your subject is. So how do you propose that we could reach the young people? How do we do that? Do we fight fire with fire and somehow, I mean, I can't even imagine how we're going to do it. How
I
do you feel
can.
about that?
I can. You have to have people actually talking about these things and demonstrating it to other people that this is something you can talk about.
Okay, but that means talking to adults first before we can get to the young people, which is like, we need to get straight to the young people, really, don't we?
Then I would recommend that they begin with 9 words. Start with trust your gut. That's the entry title. Trust your gut.
Agree with that one.
And realize most people are not going to be equipped to be able to take in all that material. But it is a very useful exercise. I promise. It's called Trust Your Gut. And the corollary to that is called 9 words. In other words, what I suggest, and I spell this out in the very first entry at the website, 3 C's and a few words more. I suggest that what people do is do the exercise. It's very simple. You can teach it to a child. Do the exercise. And the question that needs to be in your mind is what matters? What matters?
Yes.
If you do that, then you can have a dialogue with a 12-year-old.
Yes.
And we have to have these kind of dialogues because somehow we were all socially engineered, we were conditioned, and we were brainwashed from the time we hit the ground running. And we have to be cognizant of that.
This is very true. They've numbed us, basically. We have to. It's a reawakening. This is what 2020 has sort of done. It's a reawakening.
Yeah, people need to realize that they have to take control of their lives. Okay, and it's not tough.
Yes.
You just have to recognize the value in it. You know, there was a time when in American life, and the same was true of Aussies, people in Europe, all over the world, that independence was really valued. independence of thought, independence of mind, independence of deed and action. But it's not anymore, is it? It's codependence, it's dependence and interdependence. It's not independence. Now you have to ask yourself, well, does independence matter? Yes or no? And I like to say that probably the American gift to the world, which we've squandered, is that we were all, each of us, born to be sovereigns without subjects. This is a quintessential American gift to the world.
And this is where here we are in the exact opposite right now. Just before we continue,
I'm ashamed of what I witnessed today. I'm just totally ashamed.
I understand it's righteous anger. Like I'm totally in the same realm with you completely. Just before we carry on,
let me tell you who I really fucking hate.
Okay.
The tech bros.
The tech bros.
I hate these motherfuckers.
Oh yeah.
The soldier boys are worthless. Doctors, nurses,
The
American
Silicon
hospitals,
Mafia.
worthless. And attorneys, the bar, they're worthless. These people are all traitors. What can I tell you? These people are worthless.
I understand what you're saying and hear you loud and clear. Just before we carry on, I just wanted to welcome Jim Lee to the show. Thank you for joining us, Jim.
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. It's beautiful. In fact, you might want to just back it off just a tiny tad because it's just such a beautiful, smooth, sexy sort of sound that it's just outdoing us. So if you could that'd be great.
I don't want to cast a spell on anybody or any aspersions, but Lark, I was listening to you rant from afar. I was still picking the stinky cheese from spaghetti out of my mouth. So I'm fashionably late, but I was listening the entire time. I do believe that you are filled with righteous anger for the right reasons. For those who don't know, I've known Lark for quite some time, through our mutual friend Brian. And there's this raging debate going on right now. And I think Lark, you alluded to it, but I'm not gonna pussyfoot around. I'm just gonna come in with the gloves off. I've met Patrick Wood, in person at Giora Griffin's conference. He gave me his book, Technocracy Rising. I learned a lot from it. His latest post where he basically says anybody saying communitarianism is trying to distract from technocracy. I think that this is a ridiculously juvenile argument.
Well, yeah, this guy is a mental midget, and he's a shill. Fuck him. I've known he was a shill for 15 years.
Did you get my email, by the way? The one that I sent to both you and him?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. He didn't respond. He doesn't. Let me tell you something. This guy doesn't want to tangle with me because he doesn't have the chops. He's a fucking shill.
So, if I could just interject with a question here, this has been on my mind as well. Once I saw the article coming out, obviously this issue has really been put on our radar from Brian and Jenna reaching out to us, and then has kind of grown from here. So, one of my big questions is why would someone, let's say that he is a shill, okay, but why are they shilling? Why would they not want to use the word communitarianism? What is at stake for them to make sure that the word is not discussed, or that it is referred to as technocracy instead? That's one of the things I really do not understand about this, because, and I was talking to Stella about this before the show, to me, it is all moving in this authoritarian, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And I'm not saying that there are not differences. I just want to understand that better, and why, if someone was a shill, why is it so important for them to minimize the work of those who are discussing communitarianism?
You tell me.
I got a quote for you. Ideas are more powerful than guns. We would not let our enemies have guns. Why should we let them have ideas?
Sally
Joseph,
Kempton.
Joseph
Stalin,
Stalin.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so word control, slave speak is always at the root of all mind control. It's not little fucking tinker toy microwave guns. It's not, Jewish space lasers or HARP controlling your brain. It's words. So how do we do this? Well, how do we make sense of this? Like I always, like Lark is entitled to his opinion. I'm going to just give you my opinion. I will always call somebody a capitalist or a narcissist before I will call them a shill or an agent. So I'm not God. I don't have ESP. All I can do is judge people based on their actions and their works. When I see basically is Patrick Wood is defending his brand. His brand is technocracy. His website is technocracy.news. He feels like anything that isn't, about this topic that takes away from this topic. And what I don't understand, and the email that I actually sent to him was, how can he not see that communitarian law could actually implement technocracy? How they're actually, in a symbiotic relationship, if
Exactly. Exactly.
So anybody who that starts to pull this, choose a fucking side, I immediately my red alert goes off. I'm like, if you're telling me I've got to pick a box and jump in it, I'm going to stand right on the corner of both of those boxes. I'm going to flip the bird to both of the people in the boxes, because you cannot put me in any box. You can't put Lark or Big Perm or Ash or Stella in a box, because at the end of the day, you're taking away all that God-given individualism once you put yourself in a box. So anybody telling you to pick a side, I think that and especially trying to control the words that you use through either shame, guilt, subversion, they're probably up to no good. Would you agree, Lark?
Yep. Let me tell you something. Let's cut to the chase. The title of this hit piece was called "Technocracy is Not Communitarianism," which is well and good. I'll buy that. It's different. Okay, but then the way he ended that piece was this guy was throwing his weight around, his
appeal to authority,
his name recognition in the marketplace of ideas. Okay, because he's been around for a while, 20 plus years. He glommed on to attach himself to Anthony Sutton to make his reputation. But has anybody read something called "How the Federal Reserve Bought the Economics Profession" by Ryan Grimm? Mr. Wood is an economist. That's what he fancies himself to be. Okay. And I could tell you all kinds of things, because remember, Nikki wasn't really pleased about him either. She had other people on her list that she wasn't pleased with. Okay, but I try to stay out of these things. But now I'm not going to allow this motherfucker to negate 20 years of my work. Okay, because he's too much of a mental midget to even engage the material, because he doesn't fucking know a goddamn thing. That's the facts. And I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to even go there, because I really don't want to talk about Patrick Wood. I don't give a shit about him. He's boring.
Okay. I heard you quote something. It was a good quote, actually, that you did. I was listening to a few of your interviews yesterday. You said that technocracy is the hardware, communitarianism is the software.
And that's somebody that likes Patrick Wood. He's in Montana. He's had him on as a guest of his show. He's been a radio host for close to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's in his 50s.
So that's a fair quote to make. I thought that was
well, yeah, I like it. I mean, he said, technocracy is the hardware and communitarianism is the software.
Yeah, you said
it
that.
It works for me. I thought that was quite clever.
Mm.
But you cannot dismiss communitarian law. And let me tell you something. If you go to that very first entry at my website. It's titled 3 C's in a few words more. I suggest how best to navigate the site, but I also I spell it out what communitarianism is. It is a philosophy. It is an ideology. It is a asset and resource management system, especially the human resource kind. It's a language. It's a religion. It's a law. It's 6 different things. Quite provable. You can prove it to yourself. Now, here's the thing. If you read the words on that website, I dare you to get back to me and tell me that you just swallowed a nothing burger. You see it in your own life. We're in a system right now where we are being made slaves. I mean, real slaves. And we are being warred upon with no pushback. We are being warred upon. Now, I learned these things when I was a kid. I didn't trust the doctors. They murdered every member of my nuclear family. Thanks, motherfuckers.
I tend to think of Brave New World Soma as our entertainment.
Yeah,
It's the
I'm telling
mind-
you.
the
You know,
mind-numbing-
nowadays we
See-
can't even have a real dialogue with real people in reality. It's pathetic. And I'm tired of making friends with people that are across the planet, somewhere on the other side of the world or whatever. That's why I'm giving up. I actually like reality, and I don't have a lot of years left. Okay, I like reality. I'm gonna be a part of it. And one of these days, I'm gonna get these motherfuckers. I'd like to actually publish an underground newspaper because I was a hippie too. I'm old enough to have been a hippie and a punk. We did an underground newspaper, and yeah, it was pretty acerbic. We took some paper, we typed it up, we stapled the things together, and we sold it for $0.25, for God's sake,
Excellent.
in the school. And I want to do that too. I want to call it Post-Truth News. We lie constantly, so you don't have to. But anyway, I'm angry and I apologize. And so maybe you can help direct this conversation to something more substantive, because I'd like to be helpful.
So let's do a little compare and contrast. How about that?
Well, you take it away, Jim.
All right. Let me get this real quick.
Yeah, it's just a matter of finding that way to connect. It's that magic. I mean, marketers are still looking for that magic thing, isn't it? So it's just finding that magic thing.
I studied marketing, by the way, but my focus was copywriting.
Right.
Y'all need to know that this technology has caused wholesale changes in the law, and especially patent, trademark, and copyright law.
Oh, copyright's an absolute mess. It always was, but it's just ridiculous now.
Yeah, this tech is dirty in so many ways, and they're going to enslave us with it. Okay, I'm telling you right now, they already have.
Yeah, they have already. Yep.
And I'm mad about it because you know what? There's intelligent people up there. I know a few people in my life, and they're all smarter than I am. Thank God. Okay, but they're not doing a fucking thing about any of this either. All they can think about is how to save their money. Honest to God.
Well,
we're talking about people that are worth $10-20 million, and that's well and good. I used to have money too, but you know something? This new system, I recommend everybody read a book. It's called "They Own It All, Including You," by Means of Toxic Currency. It was published in 2009, and you can read it for free on the internet. Order it through Amazon. It says it all in the title. They own it all, including you, by means of toxic currency. See, these motherfuckers think they won this fair and square. They're deluded.
That's one of the things that I wanted to say too, that I often think about, is that I think a lot of people, yes, we know that apathy has been created through a million different ways. And I also think that there has been warfare declared on the people, psychological warfare, to keep you so busy and so worried and so distracted about a million different things, just trying to make it, that it does take people's eye off of the ball. And then, especially with the ability to really get politics into everybody's mind, and people are fighting over politics and they think it's important and they think it matters. So it is very frustrating to see that. But on the other hand, I understand why it's happening, because this has been manufactured for people to be distracted and dumbed down and unwell. And it makes it really difficult to discern and know what is the most important thing. But of course, what you're talking about is the most important thing, is avoiding becoming a slave and having some kind of a future and some kind of say over your life and in the life of your family.
I agree 100%. I have to tell you that the fact is, there isn't anybody on planet Earth that's even remotely qualified to do your thinking for you. They cannot possibly represent your interest. Now, anybody that thinks they represent my interest, they got another thing coming. I don't give a shit who they are. The Pope, the president, the mayor, the governor. I don't like any of these motherfuckers. They are not qualified to represent my interest. They're not qualified to represent your interests. We need to get a clue. This is your life, nobody else. If this is your life, you're the authority. You're the final arbiter of authority. You are the expert. End of story.
In your opinion, is it more important to spend the time going to bat against the communitarian efforts in your community, or spending the time building, let's say, micro communities and working on
Let me tell you what I recommend.
your inner circle?
Yeah, I appreciate that. My suggestion is you look at the entry called 9 words. Take it to heart. It's a simple exercise. Okay? And it what it does is it forces you to focus on what matters. Okay? It's so simple. It's so simple. You've got to read that. 9 words. You want control of your life? Then you need to take that to heart. I don't like their money. I don't like their banks. I don't like their TV. I don't like their fucking hospitals. I don't like their courts. And neither should you. What you do is you decide that you're going to take control of your life, and you're going to plan it out. You're going to determine what it is that matters. You're going to decide who your trading partners are. I've got 9 words there. And I can go over them in detail, but I want you guys to read this, and hopefully we can have another time together, and let's talk about that. I'm telling you, I put a lot of energy and time, and I agonized over every word at that website because I dearly wanted to be helpful to people. For whatever it's worth, I want to be helpful.
We will
you
definitely
have
be
to
sharing
decide that your life matters.
Yep, we will definitely be sharing your work as much as we can. You've mentioned the father of communitarianism, Amitai Etzioni. Is that his name?
I haven't mentioned him, but
not today. You haven't, no. But I was alluding to his, I don't know, motto, his line, which is "the me needs a we to be," which is pretty much encompasses the whole communitarianism.
The way to
groupthink.
learn about Amitai Etzioni is you got to do a hard look at Martin Buber. Martin Buber was a philosopher and a college professor in Israel. that impacted Werner Falk, who changed his name and became Amitai Etzioni.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I did read that.
Now, this
Yep.
guy was a special policy advisor to every American president since Jimmy Carter. He died a couple years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. He was in his 90s. He had all kinds of money thrown his way. He was a dual citizen, Israeli-American. He was a sociologist. And I never liked the motherfucker, to be honest with you. I thought he was a piece of shit. And if I'd ever had a chance to be close to him, I'd tell him so.
So is it fair to say that he was sort of the instigator of bringing, or brought it to?
No,
The
I wouldn't say he was
education
only.
system?
He's the most prominent, okay, because he got a lot of money thrown his way. He founded the Communitarian Network like in 1990, 91, in those years. But we just lost a man by the name Alistair McIntyre, a Scotsman. And I sent you a link in the email that I wanted to share with all of you, so you can understand how much effect this man, who also passed away, I think he was 96 years old. He was associated with Notre Dame University for many years. He had influence with Charles Taylor of McGill University in Canada. That's Mr. Communitarianism in Canada, is Charles Taylor of McGill University. That's where Jordan Peterson
Okay.
also attended school, and has another piece of shit. Okay, Jordan fucking Peterson. Another one was a Stefan Molyneux. You know, but anyway, I could go on and on. Listen, I've been at this for 20 years, y'all. I mean, I'm nobody special, okay? I'm just telling you, I got something that's worthwhile sharing, and I don't mind sharing it. It's up to you if you want to take advantage of it or not. But, you know, we need to realize that there's people like Michael Walzer, Michael Sandel at Harvard, Robert Putnam. You know, they were talking about this shit back in the 80s and the 90s. They started talking about it in the 70s. And I was in school then. I was attending college in those early 70s years. The publication of a book entitled A Theory of Justice by John Rawls is what really triggered this discussion in academia. That was in 1971, y'all. So we need to understand what the hell was discussed and what was the contention. What's you know, the communitarians insist that classical liberalism is ontologically incoherent. And you need to understand about what they've done to traditional morality in this country. It is astonishing. Now, I'm not a religionist, okay, at least publicly, because I've decided it does not help at all. Don't forget, I lived where Cyrus Schofield's church ministry was for 20 years. And now you've got this Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. I mean, it is these Christian Zionists are a national disgrace. I'm sorry. But
I suppose
I live here. I mean, these people are brain dead.
But the lack of morality is only going to be shocking for a generation or two, because it's just going to be normal in a couple of generations. So, as you say, it's up to us to try to bridge the gaps somehow and spread the word.
Look up that word. You look up that word deontology sometime. It's like ontology, but it's deontology. I sent the links to all of y'all, and you too, Jim. And you have to understand that morality differs from.
You know that I already know all about ontological destruction.
Yeah, of course you do. But the point is that a lot of people don't, and I'm trying to illustrate for them what has happened to traditional morality. I mean, these mad mommies, for example.
I need to make a suggestion to you, Lark. You're brilliant. What's getting lost on me? I'm losing interest. I'm right here. I'm telling you this as a friend. Tone back your feelings for a moment. Pretend that you are in front of a bunch of people who have never heard of this before, and you want to distill it down to the simplest message that you can. What matters most? That is what people are going to take away from this. And I understand what it's like to spend 2 decades talking about a thing and nobody seems to give a shit, because I'm right there with you. I'm here as a student today. Okay. You are the teacher, and we're not going to learn anything if you continue to rant and rave about, personal grievances. I understand. I could bitch and moan about people that are in the geoengineering world or HARP or any of these things. I could take all my anger out on them. But I think that what really people really need to get from you today is a very clear how, A, define it, B, how does it impact you, and C, what are your projections for the future? How do you see this unfolding if nothing is done? If good men do nothing, what will communitarianism, aided by technocracy, end up doing to our world? I think I know the answers, but I want to hear them from you, and I know the audience does too. So I'm praying for you. I'm praying that you can use that big brain of yours and all this fucking knowledge you have on this topic to hone that in for us.
Well, let me explain something, okay? You are surrounded by zombies and criminals.
Facts.
You're operating behind enemy lines. You are dealing with unwitting dupes and useful idiots at every turn. Okay? That's what you need to get right off the bat. You don't have to blame Satan or Lucifer or the Illuminati or the fat cat billionaires. The people that are around you are your enemies because they're brain dead. They're going to do whatever floats their boat that earns them a buck. What they've done in these public schools, these private schools, and these universities is criminal. I provided the links for y'all in the emails I sent to you. Now you guys are podcasters. You're brighter than most people that are out there. I know this. So the question I have is, how much are you going to invest in terms of deciding that this is worth talking about? Yes or no? I have been the nice guy for too damn long, Jim. I have been the nice guy. And I'm taking the gloves off now because I'm not going to be online for very much longer. I fucking hate this goddamn tech. I know you love it, but I don't. I didn't grow up around it.
See, this is where you got it wrong. I see it as a double-edged sword. On the one side, it bites my enemy. On the other side, it spites my face.
Well, I wish some techies would come to my aid sometime, but I haven't had any. I'm not good at begging people for any help at all.
You don't even have to beg me, bro. If you can lay it out clearly enough, I'll build you the fucking website for free. What I love doing is taking really complex ideas and distilling them down to something that is easily digestible by idiots. I want you to make it grandma to freaking kindergarten friendly. I'm trying to do that right now with chemtrailfacts.com. I will offer to literally make a roadmap for free of a website that does not require logins or passwords or anything that can get hacked, and infographics and all of that to lay out this history, because I think it's that important.
Well, let me tell you something. That's nice of you to say that, but here's the thing. It's just us right here, okay? And you have an audience. Why don't you guys do this? Make a commitment to yourself to fucking read the website. Just read it. If you have the ability to read my Facebook entries, read those too. You don't have to read every one. Just scan the material and get back to me and tell me that this is A nothing burger. This is not worthy of attention. It's technocracy, goddammit.
I don't think it's the case of anybody not agreeing with you at all. I think it's just the case of, I mean, we've been beating our heads against the brick wall. It's not as long as you have, but same, same thing with all the things, the 2020 juice, all that stuff. I mean, I lost most of my friends through that, not to death, but well, one or two. But it's just a matter of, if people don't want to listen, you can't shake them and make them listen. They have to be ready. It's like giving up an addiction. You have to be ready. There's nothing can make you into that place. You have to be there. And unfortunately, en masse, they're all falling for the distractions like Ashley has already talked about and you've talked about. I mean, it's obvious the technocracy is here for a reason, and it's not going to get any better. It's getting thicker and thicker. It's like the pollution of advertising. And now we've got to contend with AI. I mean, it's so confusing. We don't even know what's real anymore. So there's just so many distractions. How are we going to get people to focus for longer than 3 seconds more? They're goldfish.
Communitarianism is really just a rebranding, y'all, of capitalism and communism.
Yeah.
After the creation of the United Nations in 1945, the talk in academia was convergence theory and social contract theory. Now, we have to ask ourselves, who was it that funded the Soviet Union into existence? Well, it was the London and New York bankers, was it not?
I believe so.
Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, that's why I say communitarianism is a complete scam. Okay, because if we're honest with ourselves, capitalism and communism both suck. Let's be clear. There are big time problems with both of them. And let me tell you something. It's like I mentioned that book earlier that anybody could read. You could read it probably in about 4 hours. 3 hours, something like that. Very quick read. Like I said, these people think they won this fair and square. Mm. And we have to deny them that.
But Lark, you would recognize that, like when Brzezinski talked about the 4 stages of the destruction of the West: demoralization, destabilization, crisis, normalization.
Yeah.
With demoralization, you have a problem of people feeling impotent. I mean, how do you convince people? Okay, let's say we were able to convince 80% of the population that communitarian law is going to lead to the dissolution of the U.S. Constitution, everybody's individual rights, their God-given liberties, all the, state nationals, they don't want to be called sovereign citizens. They're going to go, well, none of those laws apply to me. I'm not on that maritime law shit. And then you got the, all the other legal experts that are out there. I'm going to write a notice of liability to the fucking Silicon Mafia, and I'm going to just make it all go away. And then you got your off-gridders who just don't give a fuck because they really aren't connected to anything, and the whole world could burn and they wouldn't even know. So in a world full of connected people who seem to actually give a shit about things and pretend like they're actually part of a truth community and act like they're pretendo activists, but they're really armchair activists. I've been one for 15 years. I've left the house like 4 times and raised hell, went to DC and went to the, Lions pit at the AMS right in the face of people who control the weather and stuck a microphone. But even without the demoralization, the destabilization, the crisis, and the normalization that has already fucking occurred, because we're way deep into normalization. When you have a demoralized populace, when they understand this information, what the fuck are they going to do, bro?
Well, they have to know the information first. They have to know the information first, Jim. Okay,
Yes,
and
Sun Tzu, know thy enemy.
then they have enough sense to figure out what they've got to do next. That's what I think. I think people are much brighter than we give them credit for if they are actually able to focus on what is real.
That's the hardest part, though, getting the focus. I mean, that is data is all about that focus and attention. That is number one gold now. So that is the hardest thing to do. So there was a question here asked by Dirk. Is there a chat group or is there a chat group ready to resist shadow bans for a fresh start?
Well, let's put it this way. I gave up Facebook at the end of 2024, New Year's Eve. I still put stuff in there, but I don't post any new things. I don't comment because I never wanted to be a part of that stupid world anyway. I also gave up my association with Republic Broadcasting out of Austin that I've been associated with since 2009. And see, I've learned that this addiction, you have to do it. You have to get unaddicted by degrees. I don't know. I'm not prepared to do go cold turkey myself. This technology is quite addictive.
Absolutely.
To answer real quick, just to answer Derek's question, matrix.org. If you go to matrix.org, you can use it's a open source, secure, decentralized network. You can use different there's all kinds of different programs that you can use to get on this free network, like Element, which is what we use for our private chat. This is not something Stella known me for years. She doesn't even know that I do this. But
or does she?
No, you don't. I could throw it up on the screen real quick, but for those who are really looking for something that's completely open source and can get you deconnected from the Silicon Mafia, you can see that there. Can you see the share, Stella?
Not
I gotcha.
yes, Ashes.
So yeah, it's this is matrix.org, and it is the most encrypted. Let's just put it away. The Silicon Mafia and the three-letter agencies fucking hate this. So this is my shout out to you guys who want to get the hell off of those platforms and actually want to be able to do things like have video conferencing, have calls, talk, build networks. Yeah, I'm on Telegram, but at the end of the day, this is open source and it is absolutely insanely well documented, and it has a rich environment for people to build something off of the current old web. Right.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Yeah. It's based on what's it, interplanetary file system. It's this is old school
like
blockchain.
Internet 1.0 sort of thing.
But it's the OG blockchain. Let's just put it that way. And it's different. Just look into it. Matrix like the movie.org. Anybody can remember that.
To further answer this gentleman's query, if you all would be so kind as to put my email address in the show notes. Believe me, there's no one talking about this or wants to talk about this. It's a very lonely person that ever really wants to discuss it.
I'm up for it.
And for that person, I'm always open. I would love to talk to somebody that actually gives a damn. It's got a working brain.
Good. I'd love a chat.
Yeah. We'll put your email in our show notes. Something else I wanted to talk to you about, Lark, is I know we're covering a lot of different things, but one of the things that I was talking with Brian yesterday, and we started talking about the a treaty that was written and created after the Revolutionary War, and that got into a little bit of a conversation about the Anglo-American establishment. You know, Richard Grove talks a lot about the Anglo-American establishment and the same people that are involved in the central banking, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, that they were working, you know, with the Cecil B. Rhodes in order to bring the United States back into back into the empire, basically. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. And then if you could also discuss because we talked about, Stella brought it up at the beginning, based on what Jenna said, this blender of ideas. But one thing that I think is important is discussing libertarianism and how it possibly could be playing into this situation, because a lot of us came to this conversation by way of libertarianism, by way of Ron Paul, by way of, you know, wanting liberty. So if you could maybe talk a bit about those things.
Sure. First of all, American history, just like history wherever you live, probably you got the idiot version, okay, of the history. Americans were never made independent or sovereign from the crown. That's a lie. We were never. What happened is that we entered into a contractual relationship known as a suzerainty. SUZERAINTY. In a suzerainty, there's two parties to the contract. There is the suzerain, and there is the protectorate. This is a contractual relationship born of the feudal system. So we never escaped the feudal system in America. You know, we were never independent or sovereign, and you know, we didn't win our independence. And I could go into that with some detail, but that's number one. The war between the states and America, that was a communist revolution. It was won by the communists. If you look it up, it's called The Revolutions of 1848 in any encyclopedia. What happened? Where did these people flee after the aristocrats put this down in all these big cities in Europe? Remember, this was in 1848 upon the publication of the Communist Manifesto. I've said before that the word communitarian or communitarianism was borrowed from the French, and it was became an English language word with John Goodwin Barmby, who was a contemporary of Marx and Freud. This was in 1841. I tell people, you know, what was happening in the world in 1841? You know, Clinton Roosevelt, the science of government founded on natural law. Pierre Joseph Proudhon, his pamphlet titled "What is Property?" in which he said that ownership of property was tantamount to theft. This is 1841. Also, Charles Mackay, Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds, 1841. So there's a whole lot of things that we could discuss about real history, you know, but I guarantee you, you got the idiot's treatment. You got the it doesn't matter where you live, Australia, UK, you didn't get the real history, okay? Because you just weren't, you know, it's just like they didn't consider that you were privy or needed to be privy to the real deal. George Washington was a surveyor, and that's how he got a lot of land, okay? Because he took these aristocrats over in Europe, and they just decided they're going to claim whole swaths of land. And of course, he surveyed. He was a surveyor. He was paid in land very often. His wife, when he remarried Martha Custis, she was a major shareholder in the Bank of England. She got the shares from her late husband. The person who ran the Washington administration was Alexander Hamilton, not George Washington. He was a figurehead. The GOP, the Grand Old Party, the Republican Party, was established and formed in Ripon, Wisconsin. In let me see, I want to say about 1854. You can look it up. And the first standard bearer under the Constitution with this new party was John C. Fremont. And the second one was Abraham Lincoln, which is not even his real name. So that war was a dirty war. And nearly 1 million Americans lost their lives as a result of it. It changed America. In 1863, there was a professor who was considered an authority on international law. He was tasked by the Lincoln administration, which was entirely Marxist. Abraham Lincoln himself was a pen pal of Karl Marx. He worked in New York in newspapers. Charles Dana and others employed him. So anyway, I don't want to get off in the weeds too much, but we were just basically provided the idiot treatment as to our own history.
Yeah, just like everything else in education, we've had to take their word for it because that's what we've been taught. And we've been taught to take their word for it until fairly recently, most people would.
I consider that enrolling a child in a public school is immoral.
Well, I think hopefully a lot of people know that now. Did you want to say something, Jim?
Yeah, I think the question was originally about libertarians, right?
I could address that if you wish.
Well, I just want to throw in a pretty funny little aside from Frederick Mann, who wrote The Anatomy of Slave Speak. And I think that this is just kind of appropriate for where we are in this conversation right now. The author, Frederick Mann, is basically having a conversation with a guy who's clearly more advanced in understanding, similar to you, Lark. And he really got schooled on thinking that he was like the tip of the spear. I'm a libertarian. I'm so outside the fucking box, man. I'm like, I'm miles above everybody else, looking down on all you other people. And anyway, I said, what does all this have to do with liberty? He said, my aspirant libertarian friend, when you free your mind from false concepts and misconceptions that fixate your thinking with the mental grooves fashioned by those who seek to enslave you, then you will discover what liberty really is. Then you will be able to live free. Most so-called libertarians are like pigs hopelessly floundering in a cesspool of statist concepts. Just as it is almost impossible to fish impossible for a fish to imagine life on land, so is it very difficult, if not possible, if at all possible, for an aspirant libertarian locked into statist concepts to conceive of life outside his self-created cesspool. My friend, like so many so-called libertarians, you don't have the foggiest notion of what exists and what doesn't. You believe in magical law like a spiritualist believes in supernatural ghosts, except that your belief is possibly even more absurd than that of the spiritualist. You see, I've heard of people who claim they have seen ghosts. There are even purported photographs of ghosts, but I've never heard anyone who claims that they have seen a so-called law never mind photographed it. So when you think about libertarianism, maritime law, communitarian law, technocracy, in Alice in Wonderland, the Queen said, "Off with her head," and Alice said, "Nonsense," and nothing happened. This is the problem with people who think inside of these boxes, inside of these labels that everybody wants to throw on everything. And sure, there are going to be adherents to cult-like behavior, whether it's the technocracy cult, whether it's the climate cult, whether it's the communitarian cult. They all are looking to find some way to exert their power over others. And they're going to do it through a shared belief system. The thing that makes communitarianism different from people talking about the fucking Illuminati, the New World Order, it's all these technocrats, it's the Silicon Mafia, man, it's the Silicon Valley bros. They're the ones behind, oh no, it's Palantir today, it's Peter Thiel and AI. Oh no, tomorrow it'll be, super intelligence mixed with military industrial complex. At the end of the day, people always devolve into tribalism. And the libertarian mindset was like, well, fuck the tribalism of left versus right. We're going to go diagonally up, because in a left versus right paradigm, everything is flat. There is no vertical. So how do we go vertical? How do we get the hell out of this flat plane into a verticality of even being able to try to understand that there are people operating on this supranational union idea of communitarian law, global law, supranational unions as they're known. This is what Lark is so concerned about, is that the mechanism by which they exert their control is this blend of communism, socialism, capitalism into this ugly fucking duck, this platypus of a world control system that isn't just a philosophy. It's not just an ideology. It's a language. It's a resource and asset management system. It's a religion. People don't even understand that communitarianism, just like technocracy, science and religion, they split. And technocrats, they are just like any other religious organization. Climate cult, that's a religious organization. Communitarians, collectivists, there's so many different terms that they try to wrap around this, that I think that at some point it gets lost on the word itself. That's where we have the ontological breakdown.
And if I may, that also brings me to a sort of a question that something I was going to tie it in with was, I think part of the bridge, or part of bridging that gap, is being able to put it into language that people understand, instead of all this Arianism, people just tune out. What we need to be able to do is go, see that thing in your neighborhood? That's communitarianism. That is a leg or a tentacle of communitarianism. People need to be able to have something tangible to recognize, to put it on their sort of everyday level, because they're all running around, they're about to pick Bobby up from soccer and, all that stuff. So we have to speak their language. Well, I hate saying they, because I'm not putting myself above, but, the normal, everyday, busy people that are enslaved and are a little not awake. So
let me
we
see
have
if
to
I
be
can.
able to look. We have to be able to show them things like the community gardens, for instance. They all sound like a fantastic idea, but I suspect things like that may be part of it. The way the infrastructure, the parking spots in shopping centres are being taken away and trees are being put there instead and stuff. Things that seem so great, but people just have no idea that they are small bits of the fractal of this great big thing called communitarianism. So we need to be able to make it tangible. that's what we need to do, and how do we do that?
Let me see if I can be helpful a little bit here. Number one, you have to learn about this gentleman named William James Sidis. The website, it's a memorial website, SIDIS, Sidis, SIDIS.net. William James, the psychologist, was his godfather. His father was a psychologist. Sidis.net. And another website that I recommend is called Frisian. F like French fries, FRIESIAN.com. Frisian.com. Look up, do a search. Shit. I'll think of the title in just a moment. But the point is that, see, I used to be quite, I didn't care about politics. I hated it. And so I was apolitical. Now, I sold my business in January of 06. That meant I had time on my hands. And I got wind of this fact that this guy keep talking about the Constitution, by God, and his name was Ron Paul, and he was a native son, blah, blah, blah. So I decided to get involved with all that. And you can find it DallasForRonPaul.com at the Wayback Machine. That's my writing right there. And but you have to learn about the history of libertarianism. Now, I like libertarianism, but remember, they're all over the map. There was a Chicago Tribune writer of note named Clarence Page. He said that getting libertarians to agree on anything was like herding cats. It's an impossibility. And he was right. We had left libertarians, right libertarians, et cetera, et cetera. And I could write a book about my experiences in that time. The parties are so corrupt, it's not even funny. They're so very corrupt. Now, see, I want to bring you. The article is called "Rights, Responsibilities, and Communitarianism." Do a search; it'll pull up. Rights, responsibilities, and communitarianism. So the reality is you don't have any rights under this system of law. Now, if you're in a prison and you basically, I mean, who or what is the law? Well, it's the warden, right? The warden's the law, as far as you're concerned.
Yep.
So
Guy with the gun.
So what they're going to do now, they're going to make this fucking machine be your ruler. And, you won't have any, if you want to complain, go stand in line. Because the machine's going to tell you what you can and can't do. And especially with your money, your time and your attention. I'm telling you, this system is this system of communitarianism. It is techno-slavery. It's technological slavery. That's what it is. And that it permits these people, all these idiots around you, to be able to wage war upon you, to maim you, harm you, poison you, and you can't do a fucking thing about it.
So part of the problem is getting to the people and getting them to listen. Now, let's assume that we got that far. The next problem is getting them to actually pay attention enough to absorb it and execute something. So that would be, well, the opposite of communitarianism is individuality, I suppose, or individualism. Let's stick with the isms. So that involves well, not all of us have the opportunity to have a few acres and burn our biochar, etc. So I guess what does that leave? That leaves just the only job that's left, which is to educate. So do we spend the rest of our lives beating our head against a brick wall, which you clearly have been doing? Is it changeable
I
at all?
recommend you
Is
look
it
at that 9
changeable at
words.
all?
That
I beg your
that
pardon?
entry, 9 words, will be the thing that educates you and your child and your niece, etc., your
Okay, all right.
nephew. If you have a discussion with a child, an adolescent, anybody, a friend of yours, a colleague, and you focus on what matters, I'm telling you, you're going to have a very fruitful discussion.
Okay, so it's a way of really sort of sinking our teeth into that article, which I'm sorry I haven't read, but I certainly will, and then finding a way to spread that, and or even convert it
Well,
into
but
a language for
don't
children,
don't
perhaps.
forget you have the opportunity to critique it. I mean, I think that
Mhm.
basically you could word things better. No matter how I worded this text, I think you could word it better.
So you're giving your full copyright permission to
I mean,
make a show.
I don't want anything like that. All I care about is that people will look at this topic
Yeah,
and
well, that's
ask
good.
themselves, is this a nothing burger, yes or no? And then get real. Get real.
Well, that's the hard part, because everybody lives in well, not everybody, but the majority live in a fantasy of Meta something or other, or Netflix something or other. And I mean, I pointed out to death, don't I, Perm? Don't I, Ashley? It's like, oh, shut up, Stella. Like, get off Netflix, get off Spotify, and it's just like everyone's just, I'm just an annoying blowfly. So,
I don't watch TV, and I haven't for many years. I quit going to movies. The last one I attended was in 1986. I dropped out of the system after they murdered my mother in 96.
Not to follow up,
1997.
I'm sorry your mother was murdered, but bro, I got to know, what was the last movie you watched?
Babette's Feast.
All right, I'm going to have to look that up, because if it's literally the last film that you ever watched in a theater, it's probably worth going to watch.
It was a foreign language film.
Okay. Well,
You have to remember, I used to be a
I'm
serious
making
chef.
a note.
Did you know I used to be a chef, Jim?
No, I didn't.
I was a restaurateur for 25 years. I was in that industry. I've got lots of stories I could tell you about my time in that industry, but I got out of it in 94. And the reason I got out in 94 is because I realized that I wasn't going to be able to change anything. I was poisoning my patrons, my customers.
You said something earlier that really like sparked a little thought process in my head. Like making communitarianism real, like as it pertains to things that are going on now. A common narrative that I've heard here in the United States is we need to do away with the Electoral College. And what people don't understand is that without an Electoral College, if we had a true just popular vote, then all the communitarians would have to do is convince enough people that this is what's good. Do you support the current thing? Well, if you
No,
support the current thing, we're going to have a vote on the current thing right now.
no.
I know, but those lunatics, all these useful idiots, and trust me, I meet so many in a day that I used to be a people person until people ruined it. That if we had a popular vote, then all it would take is, this Smith-Munt Act, this, propaganda, psyop media with a bunch of fucking lemmings who walk around all day like this. They're like this all day long. They don't even
You're never
look.
going to have an honest tabulation so long as we've got electronic vote tabulation.
But my point is that it would be even easier to rig the system had they just, if they got their way, and they just had a popular vote on everything, then I maintain this. The farther government gets away from my house, the less it's impactful to my life, and the more likely it is to be authoritarian. So
Let me tell you something. My entire life, the only thing I cared about is I wanted the same rights as a prairie dog. I want to be declared a endangered species. I want to
hell
be
yeah.
left the fuck alone. I don't want to have to hang the number over my door if I even have a door to my abode. You know,
You won't
and
own
I
one, but
want
you'll be happy about
my
it.
privacy and my property rights respected, but it's not. It's gone.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I didn't mean to.
is how are you going there, Perm? Is there anything that you would like to put forward? Because I'm feeling like it's probably getting to the point where we could start wrapping this big boy up.
No, I'm good. I get the point, and I've bookmarked his website, and I'll definitely be scrolling through.
Yep.
Like you said, it only takes an hour to read, so I'll definitely be.
I've read it a couple times now.
All right. And The Anatomy of Slave Speak is also available on Jim's website, which we must remember to...
Real easy to find. climateviewer.com/propaganda.
By the way, Jim, I think another companion piece to read, which is much shorter than The Anatomy of Slave Speak, it's called Chinese Contracts by Jim Bullock.
Read it.
I've got it on my website.
Yeah. Like, so I've been slowly working through, and weathermodificationhistory.com was my first project website where I took, like, all of my stuff was on climateviewer.com, and I wanted to make a site that was just about that thing. Okay. And the next one, obviously, because people lie so much about geoengineering and weather modification, they don't understand it. Everything's fucking chemtrails to them. So I made chemtrailfacts.com. I think the next one, because the only two I have left is, I've got pollution, privacy, and propaganda. I want to make a propaganda website, but I'm also really concerned about privacy and mass surveillance and all that. I think that there's a happy union that could happen with a propaganda website that marries the ideas of slave speak and mass, mind control through media manipulation and the verbal ninjutsu that these people constantly do, to marry that with the idea of how technocracy and communitarianism, supranational unions, all of these things play a role in the dissemination of propaganda.
Here's a quick tip for you guys.
Let me land this plane real quick, because
the book is called How to Be Invisible. J.J. Luna. How to Be Invisible. You must conduct your affairs in the private. Stay away from the public. 9 words spells out how you navigate this life from a legal realm. So forgive me for butting in.
No, I was just gonna quote the famous Scientologist himself, Technique 88. The only way you can control people is to lie to them. So when you really break it down to its nuts and butts, just the bare bones minimum, the way people control you is to lie to you. And the only way to defeat people being able to lie to you is to be able to recognize the language that maintains that master slave relationship. And once you start understanding that people who are using these words are trying to control you, then you become immune to that control.
Jim, you said Scientologist. Was that our buddy L. Ron Hubbard?
Oh yeah. L. Ron Hubbard Technique 88. You can write that down in your book in great big letters. The only way you can control anybody is to lie to them. When you find an individual is lying to you, you know that individual is trying to control you. One way or another, that individual is trying to control you. That is the mechanism of control. This individual is lying to you because he is trying to control you. Because if they give you enough misinformation, they will pull you down the tone scale so that they can control you. Conversely, if you see an impulse on the part of the human being to control you, you know very well that human being is lying to you. Not is going to, but is lying to you. So, like, understanding, these just basic resources on how people try to manipulate and control others is how I've been able to break myself from this matrix of bullshit on the internet. We live in a modern day library of Babel, where all of the answers to any question you have in the universe is on the internet. But no person who entered the library ever got the answer to their question, because in that library was far more bullshit than truth. So being able to discern bullshit from truth is like the fundamental. Like, both of my daughters are homeschooled for a reason. When they leave my home, if nothing else, they will be excellent bullshit detectors. They will have critical thinking skills far superior to most grown adults. And my 16-year-olds demonstrated that multiple times to adults. And they will have backbones of steel. That alone will guarantee that when they're free from my control and they're out there in the world, they will not be manipulated. And anybody who can just learn those basics, then when somebody's coming at you with some technocratic bullshit pitch or some communitarian, we don't think, like the Nova Scotia thing we had with Bettina the other day, we don't think you guys should go in the forest because it's bad for climate change has made the forest dangerous, so we don't want any fires. So up in Nova Scotia, we don't want anybody trouncing around in the forest. We're not going to call it a climate lockdown. We're just going to say that you should stay out of the forest, bullshit. Like, you immediately recognize the language, you know the ideologies behind it, and you can call it for what it is. That's communitarian. That is freaking climate cult bullshit propaganda. Fuck you, I'm going in the woods. And when citizens understand that, then they can stand up for their rights. They can say, no, I do not accept your bullshit. No, queen, off with your head. Nonsense. Like Alice said in Alice in Wonderland.
Let me see if I can help y'all too regarding the language. Okay, it's coded language. It's terms of art and turns of phrase, which you think innocently means one thing, but it means something entirely different altogether. Now, let me direct you where to find this. Do communitarian buzzwords. Do a search. Do Agenda 21 buzzwords.
Yep.
Go to Julianne Romanello's YouTube. She's a PhD, political science, mom, early 40s, also Oklahoma, real person. And you're going to learn. There's a whole fucking list of these things. Nikki started writing about it to be.
Nikki,
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, and also I want you guys to look up something. It's called Understanding the Third Way. Nikki wrote that before 9/11. Look up Our Common Community, 2010. And you can't call them. Read it. News with Views. the archive. Go to Nikki's website. She's got a lot of stuff that you could get. Now, I tried to boil things down to the basics, okay, because I want people to have the cliff notes. Most people are just not going to take these deep dives, and that's why my website exists. It's for people that need to determine quickly: is this something they need to be paying attention to? Yes or no. And so,
Okay. I'm just
yeah,
going to.
look it up. Communitarian buzzwords. Agenda 21 buzzwords. And just look at the list. If you have any difficulty, you can send me an email, and I'll send you something comprehensive. So what's happening is that you watch us Sunday talk shows on your telly is what I term it as. Always have. Why? Because it's like Orwellian newspeak. Orwellian newspeak then is communitarian code speak now. So I hope that's helpful. You guys got to get hip to the language, and don't allow these motherfuckers to bamboozle you with their, to basically parrot this stuff, so that they poison the environment, the airwaves, the minds of the people. And I can spot it. All I have to do is see it, especially in the world of the corporate land. God, I hate these fucking people.
So I guess most of the people that are listening to in this realm already know well and truly that language is, well, it is magic. It's like casting spells.
Maybe here, but not in corporate land. These people just repeat all the time. They just whatever they're told to repeat.
But so the language is
the
language is very important. It's hypnotic. Repetition is important. If people hear something enough, it becomes truth. I remember when we had the Lismore floods here in 2022, and even though that system happened, but afterwards, the aftermath of what happened with the council, etc., that came in, I know a deep dive on him, and he turned out to be quite a corrupt character, and he came.
This stuff is very deceptive. How about quality learning?
Yep. This guy that came to the council after the event was called a change agent. I noticed that started to pop up quite a lot. Change agent.
How about quality of life?
Yeah, resilient. That's another one. Resilience.
Yeah, free trade. I mean, there's a whole. I mean, there's hundreds of these things, and the people today are just repeating them. Well, this is how we're enslaved. Warfare is the principal concern of big media and the Department of Defense. That's why you should read The Art of Memetics at my website, so you learn what it is. This is how you're being warned about.
And the other thing that I wanted to point out is something that we also see is the moving of the goalposts and the changing of meaning of words that were well known before. So this is also something that's happening in addition to the buzzwords and using things to, truly the mask of something that sounds good, it sounds positive, but it's actually awful. And then we have the words that have meant one thing for forever, and then all of a sudden they become co-opted and used in a completely or sometimes not a completely different way. For example, when we were in COVID times and they were talking about the vaccine, the definition of herd immunity was changing. The definition of a vaccine, the definition of inoculated, they're just slightly changed, but they're done in order to do this warfare and to mess with people's minds, like literally
these people delight in fucking you over in every which way they can. They delight in this.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I studied copywriting, so I know how people futz with the language to accomplish a particular goal or to achieve an outcome.
It's
I worked
funny
in advertising too, so
it's funny as shit to me that you mentioned memetic warfare, because it sounds so silly on the surface, but then you just ontologically, what the hell are we talking about here? Bring this up just for a second, because I want people to understand how silly this is. Memetic, relating to or constituting an element of culture. Important buzzword there. Culture or a system of behavior that is passed from one individual to another by imitation or non-genetic means. Oh, I thought we called those fucking memes, an element of culture or system of behavior passed from one individual to another by imitation or non-genetic means. So let me get this straight. The NSA is scared of fucking memes. We know this shit. They are terrified. Meme them, mock them, laugh at them. You want to know the most dangerous thing you can do to any ideology out there? Ridicule it and then make it go viral. Meme them to death.
Of course, but then of course there's those projects like Charlie Hebdo, and there's the people in the UK that are being locked up apparently for posts and memes that they've done months ago or years ago. Now, whether that's a psyop in itself, who knows? But these are the people that they're making examples of, so that's why people are a little cautious to do that.
And that means they need to do it more.
Do it harder.
Meme harder.
More.
There's a t-shirt.
More. Thank you. It's more MOARTYPLZ. More. Thank you, please. That is the 4chan anthem right there. Meme harder.
I did also want to say that I don't disagree. That was how I kind of got into my, into this space. I created my account under Think, Change, Repeat, and I made original memes. And some of them did get out there and some of them didn't. But I will say that in today's day and time, especially when there are these neocon war pig politicians that I would like to go after on Twitter, and then I would make memes about them, that's when freedom of speech but not of reach comes into play. And I'll have like 4 people see the meme and nobody like it and nobody share it.
I mean, let's face it, that is the language of the group think now, isn't it? It's memes. I mean, a picture says 1,000 words, let's state the bleeding obvious, but that is the language of the culture now, is memes. So I guess we have to adapt and use the language of the culture. And so there has to be a sort of a bridge for us as well to be able to speak the language. I mean, you got to stay in touch with the child within, but it's pretty easy to get out of touch with the culture of youth.
Well, it got really bad under, the whole Atlantic Council, DHS, CISA, what they called MDM, mis, dis, and malinformation. Everybody's familiar with misinformation and disinformation. Malinformation is not information that is wrong. It's just odious to the government. They don't like it. So it's not even, it's not even fake news. It's just, they don't like it. So MDM was classified as an attack on democratic institutions and labeled as a cyber attack because it was a mind bomb delivered over the internet, which was passed from one individual to another by imitation or non-genetic means, which is mimetic warfare, cyber attacks. So who do we put in charge of this? The Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. So secure they had to put security in the name twice. And these punk ass bitches were the ones behind censoring all of us on YouTube. If we said anything like COVID, everybody had to come up with coof and, nicknames to get around the AI algorithms detecting us saying it. If you questioned the Hunter Biden laptop or the elections, you were the problem. Turns out all that shit was true, but it was malinformation. It wasn't mis or disinformation. It was malinformation. I lost my my Discord chat. I had over 6,000 members in there. And all I did, swear to God, I read a letter from the airline CEOs to the Biden White House saying, you went on the news last night and said, COVID need no longer run our lives. So we're asking you, President Biden, please lift the restrictions on the airline industry because it's crushing us. So I read their fucking letter. And I ended up getting a medical misinformation strike, which is still there to this day on my dashboard, on my YouTube. And because my bot automatically posted my YouTube videos to my Discord chat, before even YouTube gave me a medical misinformation strike, Discord had emailed my admin that he needed to take that down because it was against the terms of services. And 3 seconds later, because we compared emails, I got an email that said that I was banned for life from Discord and that my Discord chat had been deleted. So they gave my admin 3 whole seconds warning to delete that post because it violated their terms. Meanwhile, I was looking at somebody's, and I'm not going to say who, is teenager. I was looking at their Discord, and there's fucking porn all over that thing. There is freaking pedos and all kinds of shit on Discord, but I got out of the good graces of the powers that soon shall not be and mentioned some malinformation by reading a letter. Oh, by the way, 2 weeks later, the Biden administration told the airline industry to go fuck itself and left all of the restrictions on them. So it was the timing of me reading the letter that they did not want getting out there that they shut down. So how do we circumvent this? That's why these alternative platforms are out there. That's why people are flocking to Rumble. That's why people are flocking to anything but Google, the Googleverse, to the fascist book. X is, it had its, it has its ups and downs. Okay. Currently, it's probably the freest, largest platform out there, but freedom of reach, no, I don't think we'll ever have that. You got to buy that shit.
I was in the original OG Tinfoil Hat Discord group from like 2017, and during that same time period, we got nuked without any kind of notice. And not only did they nuke the whole channel or the whole Discord, they nuked each of our individual accounts as well and said we were all banned for life.
You're talking about Sam Tripoli?
Yeah.
God dang, man.
And
That's hard. That's
that,
hard.
Those people I was in video chat with every night at the beginning of COVID, like that's how we got through things. We would get in the Discord video chat and just hang out. Sam would even drop in with us and talk to us for an hour here and there.
Yeah, sort of like how we all came together through the propaganda report. On that note, by the way, I just had a little text with Monica, who said to say g'day. Well, not g'day. She said to say hello to Jim and to Lark too, I believe. Yeah, Monica Perez. I just want to say g'day. Oh, hello. Sorry, it's natural.
How you doing, Monica?
I'll let her know. All right. Well, how are we doing? Do we need to start wrapping this up? I think everybody's had a fairly good say, and I'd just like to say thank you very much to the people in chat who've yet again joined us with their very precious time. We do appreciate that. If you have any things that you'd like to pursue about this, which I highly recommend that you do, please check the show notes when we've got our act together and they come out. And anybody like to have a final little wrap up? Lark or Jim?
A Lark in Texas. A Lark in Texas.wixsite.com. Go there and read this. Read this man's words. I've known Lark for a long time. And I know that it is a hell of a burden to have such a volume, an encyclopedia of information on a topic that you care so deeply about, and you either can't make people hear, but let me put it this way. I know how Lark feels. I know what it feels like. And I'm technically savvy. All right. I can code, I can do all of these things. What I can't do that Lark's done is read book after book after book. I don't have the time. I usually don't have the patience. Shit, man. I probably don't have the attention for it. Most of the time I can speed read through a PDF and remember most of it. But as far as like putting nose to the grindstone and reading through all these books, we owe it to our elders, no offense, Lark, to respect them and learn from them. And I think that this is one of these important topics. My ass would not have come here tonight if it weren't this important to me too. And I've seen the infighting behind the scenes, and I'm not going to bring out any names or anything like this, but this recent little charade of Patrick Wood trying to say, if somebody mentions this word, tell them, no, it's not that, it's technocracy, it is fucking juvenile. And I think that it's very manipulative. And I've already called Patrick on this. But I'm not one to pick a fight with people on the internet over things. No, I've never done anything like that, Dane fucking Wigington.
We nearly made it.
But the point I'm trying to make is Lark has put his heart into this for a reason, and I think it matters. And I've seen the machinations myself. I could articulate them to you ad nauseum. It's not going to matter unless you find a reason why it matters to yourself. Everything has to be, if it doesn't personally influence your temporal salvation or your livelihood, most people just don't give a shit. TLDR. I suggest that people give it a thought. I'm constantly in and out of X spaces, just getting a vibe for what the current vibe of the internet is. And technocracy has become, steady verbiage used by many plebes who claim to be learned individuals who host spaces and think they're important. Why can't this be part of the discussion? That should be the number one tell. When people tell you not to talk about a thing, talk more about it. Learn more about it. Because there's a reason that they're telling you to shut up, sit down, sideline, don't use those words. If they're telling you you can't use a word, there's a reason.
Well, there is also the other side of that, because we talk about contrail, chemtrail, blah, blah, blah. So those words are important because that's a scientific sort of weight behind those words. It's like in those sort of circumstances, you have to get the terms correct, because the incorrect terms will lead to disinformation. So
But
it sort of
Stella,
depends on the circumstances. Like
you know me,
in this circumstance with the technocracy and the communitarianism, I think it's more of a philosophical, ideological. It doesn't matter. They both suck. They're both bad, and we've got to approach them the same way, pretty much. So
let me leave this with y'all. We live in a scientific dictatorship of the global to local community. The system has a name. It's called communitarianism. It's undergirded by communitarian law. And it is not only the law of the European Union, but if you have a multinational corporation in Germany that has a contract with another multinational corporation in the States, and in turn, they have a fulfillment contract with another multinational corporation in the People's Republic of China, and a contract dispute or conflict should arise requiring adjudication in a court of law, which law will hold? I'm going to tell you right now, it's the same law as practiced at the International Court of Justice at The Hague. That's part of the European Union, the United Nations. Communitarianism is the word. Communitarian law is the law. Now, you could dance around this all you want, but I'm telling you, it's a fact. But here's the thing about science and scientism. Scientists consider that things like morality and immorality are beyond their purview. It's not scientific. Therefore, their correct position from their standpoint, from a philosophical standpoint, is that they are practitioners of amorality. You don't have any consideration for morality or immorality. The position is amorality. And so I want you guys to think about what has happened to traditional morality in American life, in Australian life, around the world. What happened? I can tell you there is something worthy of discussion there alone. Now, I gave you guys a foretaste in the email I sent to y'all. Okay, take a gander at it. You could see this is the biggest problem we have. We have a problem with a lack of morality, and you would think a lot of people would be putting their foot down about this one fact alone. For example, what is moral about placing your children inside of a public school today with drag queen story time or whatever it is? That's not moral. What about the cell phone towers that harm students that are living in dormitories and they develop a brain cancer and they die in the prime of life? I could go on and on and on. I mean, they are poisoning the food. They poison the water. They poison the airways. They poison every fucking thing. They're maiming us. So you need to understand that we are at war. Whether you want to realize it or not, we are at war. And they intend to continue to wage war upon us with impunity. The smart people have got together and decided that morality is old hat. So give it up about the Constitution. I guarantee it does not apply. Ask any attorney out there if they ever studied at law school. They didn't. Okay?
Yes. I think if you're familiar with Legal Man, he certainly goes through that in detail and makes it fairly clear that that really doesn't mean very much. And one could argue that immorality goes back to the beginning of mankind, really. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun there. Immorality has been around since humans have been, but we just have it in a very technological,
they completely sidestep the issue.
form.
They completely sidestep the issue, and you're allowing it because this is a discussion which has to be had. I don't care who you are. Morality is a real thing in your life. Okay.
Certainly, and it's been stripped away by social engineering, and it's been a very long time happening, boiling the frog slowly, etc.
Yeah,
all the different isms through the eras. Because when one ism goes out the door, another ism comes through. It's the feminism from the 60s.
Just remember that what I said about the in science they don't have consideration for morality or immorality. It's about amorality. And nowadays we know that the consensus of learned opinion is very often that which is bought and paid for. Am I right?
You're dead right there.
We also know that they always ask the question, can we? And they never ask the question, should we? Which it just undergirds your point that it's not a question of morals. It's not even a question of hubris anymore. Whether it's, the atom bomb. Well, we did it because we were going to save lives. Well, how'd that work out for you? We're going to do geoengineering because we're going to block out the sun because global warming is going to kill people. We could save people, but the thing we're going to build is going to kill people. We should do it anyway because we're going to save more people than we're going to kill. They always ask the question, can we, not should we? And that has been the case over and over again. And then you get into the whole, now you've hurt people. There should be some repercussions. I don't have morals. Fuck. I'm not even religious. My religion is my science, and my science is all about making money because these people paid for it. And the people you elected, they're all whores. They were paid for by the same people who are paying me to write the science that is ruining your life. So yes, when you understand that incestuous nature of the system, the ATM, then slap whatever label you want on it. It's like putting lipstick on a pig.
Yeah, that's right. So we shouldn't get sort of stuck in the semantics of these sort of terms, etc. Just pay more attention to what's actually happening and what we can possibly do to at least not comply. But it's not just about us either. It's about the generations to come, because we are pretty much at a fairly, well, an unforeseen pivotal point. And I think it's going to matter what we do, when that's all we can do is what we individually can do, and to a point collectively. But, we can only do so much.
Did
I
we
think
break Lark?
I think maybe so. I'm not sure. Okay. Thank you for being here. Like, it's good to have you. Not sure what happened there. All right. I guess we'll wrap up there because we're right on 2 hours. Seems like a pretty good place to stop. I just want to say thanks to Jim for being here. Really appreciate that you came.
I had to talk about anything to distract myself from the Charlie Kirk videos. I mean, honestly, like, I'm pretty pissed at the world. Like, yesterday I watched a guy stab a lady to death on a bus in North Carolina, and today I watched Charlie Kirk get his throat blown wide open. And I'm starting to lose faith in humanity. I put this up in the chat earlier. I just want to share this because I swear, I think that this is what Lark is feeling, and I know that this is what I'm feeling right now. But I want to kind of just end here because this is what I feel like today.
For those who are only listening, it's a little cartoon of Charlie Brown and Snoopy sitting on a bench near a tree, and Charlie Brown says, "What do you miss?" And Snoopy says, well, he doesn't talk, but Snoopy thinks, "I miss the way I viewed the world before I knew too much about it." Yeah, I think we can all relate to that. It's you can't unsee, and you can't unhear, and you can't unknow, and we can't go back in time. So we're stuck here now. So I guess we have to do something about it, because, as you said, good men who stand by and do nothing. We just got to choose the way we do it. Maybe not bicker so much and stuff, but we've all been there to some degree. But
Yeah, the blue pill
exactly how to
definitely
reach-
would be the easier path, but we're already here.
yeah, can't go back. Yep, it's
Well,
already dissolved.
Well, for the people who did eat the red pill, I was talking to Kaler Betts, and he said you were supposed to eat the red pill, not drink the whole fucking bottle. And I think that that's where we have to find the balance. Like, the quest for knowledge is a painful path, but it's that old saying, I'm willing to know the truth, the whole truth, and afford for it. Sometimes Patrick Henry, I'm like, you're right, but it is painful. But you're still right, but it is painful.
Yes. And
So
really sorry to interrupt you, Jim. I just wanted to say the other thing that's really hard is to try and discern the truth in this environment now. And so it feels like, I think I took the whole bottle of red pills, surely, because I'm questioning everything coming and going, because I do not want to be deceived. But maybe that's part of it. Maybe I'm spinning my wheels, being, like questioning everything that I see. And that's not a good place to be either. But it's just out of a desire to not continue to be fooled.
Yeah.
And to not,
And it's only going to get worse with the
right.
AI.
And in our conversation, tonight, like you were talking about, you have really worked to cultivate the BS detector that your daughters have. And that is exactly what I want to have, because we have spent so much of our life being indoctrinated, being lied to, being manipulated with mimetic viruses and with mind control that's been mass exported. It's really difficult for somebody who really wants to know and understand the truth in this like post-truth world.
But maybe that's what it's all about, is about shifting our focus to what actually really does matter, and where our focus should be, etc. All those sort of things. I mean, it's also harder when you've got children and you're trying to steer them into this, excuse me, but fucked up world the way it is at the moment. So I think probably, you know, I mean, to quote Jesus, the kingdom of heaven is within. And I think that's what we need to deal with, is how we're going to deal with things and how we lead the others to deal with things. As far as, you know, not complying and standing strong and not taking part, well, I mean, I guess that just means really what it's going to boil down to is you can be as prepped as you bloody well want to, but eventually that stuff's going to run out. Eventually people are going to come knocking on your door in masses to take your stuff. So again, you have to deal with what's going on inside us. I think maybe I just invite people to sort of maybe look at things from a different viewpoint of what actually this is about.
I felt uncomfortable this whole time because I was like, there's something I was supposed to do. And maybe it was the spaghetti brain, you know, like at the beginning. And then I just remembered, like, we're wrapping up right now. That's what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to put this freaking t-shirt on. Like,
Yeah, you were.
oh, I was so good. I was so gonna wear this. Like, what the absolute bro?
Had I thought of it, I would
ruined
have reminded you, but no, I didn't even think of it.
I
either.
ruined it.
Jim, while we're giving
Well,
Jim a
you're
hard
welcome
time,
back anytime.
a
Yeah, you
very
have to come back,
deserved
man.
hard time, Jim. Next time you post about being on our show on Twitter, tag us. How about that?
Yeah, no. How about that shit? That would
Get
probably
your
be
together,
fun.
man.
I almost wrote on there today. I was like, "You no tag. No,
Asshole.
what am I? Chopped liver?"
Man,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like I was literally watching, you know, so much stuff on the Charlie Kirk thing, and I was just getting more and more pissed. And then they're like, "Oh, well, wait, you know, the guy that originally they said they arrested probably wasn't even the shooter, and there's a guy on the rooftop now." And then I'm watching another guy that I know, Escanar, and he's got a video. It's like a close up of Charlie Kirk's hand, and the freaking ring on his finger switches from one finger to another. And I'm going, am I watching fucking AI? Am I being gaslit? Like,
Yeah, okay. I wanted to invite you all to just remember that too, that maybe it's not 50%, but there's a huge percentage of anything that we see from this point, from last week or last year or however many years ago, probably a lot longer than we are possibly even aware of. A lot of things are just fake. They're AI. So please, you know, before you sort of invest too much emotion into things, just make sure that you are actually seeing something that's real. And I'm not saying the Charlie dude, whatever his name is, because I'd never heard of him, but I'm not saying that wasn't real. But I do question things like, you know, the chick on the bus. Was that actually real? We don't know. A lot of the war footage from Ukraine turned out to be not real. All that kind of thing. So some of it's real, some of it's not. We've just got to remember that. So I'm just saying, just keep one foot on the ground at least, you know, before we get too carried away with anger and sadness.
It's the old saying, you know, believe none of what you hear and half that you
Yeah.
see. We're literally at the point where it's like, believe, you know,
None of what
nothing
you see. Question
and
everything.
nothing you hear. Like,
Yeah.
so that's just a really weird place to be. And
That's right where they want us, unfortunately.
yeah, I know. Like, what do we get when we end up in a zero trust society where you can't even believe your own lying eyes?
Yeah.
Today, that's what we get.
Yeah, it was a rough
Unfortunately,
one.
we are here.
I didn't really know anything about Charlie Kirk either, but I live on Twitter nowadays, and I mean, fortunately, I have adaptive cruise control in my car because I turn that shit on and I'm like scrolling for information, and I have young children too, and just seeing videos of him playing with his kids and shit like that, I'm like tearing up as I'm driving home from work to meet up with you guys, and it's like,
Yeah,
strange times we're living in.
You know, and this is like, you know, the whole dispassionate, you know, debate that should be allowed to happen. You know, can we have differences of opinions without it ultimately leading to violence when you're constantly being gaslit by politicians on both sides? And I'm not, because, you know, I don't talk about politics at all on my channel for a reason. the weather doesn't ask you what your fucking religious beliefs are, things like that. You know,
Yeah, who you voted for?
yeah. Well, who did you vote for in the last election? You know, because we're gonna send
All right,
the
the
tornadoes
hurricane's coming your way.
yeah, it's only going to hit the Democrats this time. You know, no, it doesn't work like that. But I mean, it's just after all of the shit that's been going on lately, and you know, just the pure vitriol and the demonization and dehumanization, it's just. I mean, this is what we get. You know, everybody's still saying that the 2 Trump assassinations are fake. Then you got this happening today. It's like, okay, well, did it even really happen? You know, and I'm asking Grok, you know, to like go out and find me, you know, is he dead or not? Well, you know, at 4:00 when I asked, it was like, no, he has not been confirmed dead. He's in critical condition. Me and my wife are praying, you know, and then the next thing I know, I get a phone call from my brother. He's like, Trump just tweeted out he's dead. I'm like, well, then he's probably dead. You know, like.
Yeah, I had sat at my desk and said a prayer, and then Glenn Beck tweeted that he was stabilized and that it sounded good or something like that. So I was like, oh, thank goodness. And then I saw somebody share Trump's True Social post. And I was like, how did it go from stabilized to dead that quickly?
I've seen more than I ever would care to see on the internet. That's why I have these bags. That's why I wear these glasses, is just to hide these, you know, bags of sadness from all of the evil that I've seen. You know, the internet can, you know, be really beautiful at times, and it can definitely open up a lot of opportunities for you to learn things, meet people, but it's a painful, dirty world. And today's just one of those days where I didn't think that I'd even, you know, I almost considered not coming here, but I figured I would try to like poke Lark in the ribs and try to make him make sense today. And maybe, you know, have a healthy conversation about it. But he's also, you know, you can tell he's beat down by the world. And I know a lot of people like him. You know, there's a lot of Larks out there that, you know, are so passionate about their thing. I got a friend, his name's Steven, and he's into, you know, wildfires, and he wants to do something about it, and he's super passionate about it. But he's just also like, why should I even care? You know, why am I even still doing this? Nobody even gives a shit.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest enemies for all of this is convenience. That's what it comes down to, basically. It usually does. It's like people ideologically, oh, yeah, they want to make all these changes and they want to stand up and fight and resist and not comply. But it's just really inconvenient because, you know, once you start actually having to put it into action, oh, shit, that's inconvenient, you know. It means like massive changes. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm any different. I've got my conveniences. So yeah, that's sort of probably the biggest thing is to actually making some change. I mean, you can't make people listen, and you can't make people make changes. So I don't know. I mean, I can understand the beaten downness of people like Lark, and I mean, even myself to a point, and I haven't even really been in this game for very long. So it is a fight every day within oneself just to be able to sort of get up and make things make sense, you know, especially harder every day, really.
Once I came to the realization that I cannot change anybody's opinion on anything, it was a hard pill to swallow. And every day since then, I've told myself it's a marathon, not a sprint. Just remember that it's a marathon, not a sprint. You may not feel like it. You may feel like quitting. And there have been many, many times over the last 20 years where I've just said, fuck it, I should just quit doing this. But right now, you know, I'm going to build a studio in my backyard. I'm getting the hell out of this bedroom, and I'm going to try harder. That doesn't mean I'm going to try more often. That doesn't mean I'm going to actually be any better at it than I ever was. But I'm not going to go into it with rosy glasses thinking that I can somehow say, you know, magical spells on the internet and change people's minds to believe what I believe. And fuck that, you know, God forbid I could, because the day we all agree is the day we could all be wrong. What if I'm wrong? So at the end of the day, we all have to just recognize that, if we're trying to influence anybody, that our intentions should at least be good. And then if we have good intentions to try to influence people to be better people, or, in the case of like with the chemtrail thing, just to not live in fear and not let people who prey on your fear take advantage of you. Then that is a dutiful, beautiful life to have. A life of service to others and trying to educate them. I think that Lark, is one of those people. He sees a big problem. He sees the train coming down the tracks. He's done the research. I can verify that it's definitely behind many of the things that I talk about.
Yep.
How to make people care about that? I don't know. I'm not that smart.
Well, I mean, he's
don't-
right. It's awareness, isn't it? So yes.
Yeah. And, kind of back to what you're talking about, I don't think that we can. What we can do is choose what we want to do. And if we want to plant seeds, if we want to, to grow a forest, hopefully, if we want to lead by example, to start getting rid of conveniences or have small conversations with people that plant the seeds, and choose how we decide to interact with the entity, that is what we can do. As far as, because I was so upset during COVID times, like I was so mad and I was so frustrated to see people believe the lies, and it was just so hard. But eventually I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I cannot control them, but I can control me. I can appreciate the life that I have, the friends that I have, the home that I have, the family that I have, the cats and the dogs that I have, the small things throughout the day that make me smile, that I have that. And I can make the choice to appreciate that and continue to educate myself. And that's what we can control, not other people. We would love to make them see the way. We would love for them to wake up, shake them awake, or whatever. But that can be applied to any behavior that we do not find desirable, that we would love to do that. But that's part of our own grieving process that we have to do. So we can wish that they were different, but at a point, it's time for us to acknowledge that they're not different. And we can grieve that, because it's really hard to see this happening with humanity and to feel like you see things that 99% of other people do not see and that never occur to them. And then we can decide what we are going to do with that. And that even though we're in an uneven playing field, we're in a really challenging situation, a time that feels revelatory, we can still make the decision to not be a victim to that, to not feed their negative spiritual energy, to enjoy what we have while we have it. Now, that's not saying that there aren't bad days. I agree with you, Jem. When I was on Twitter and I was seeing that stuff, it was disturbing. I'm not somebody who had really followed Charlie Kirk, but I felt that this was a harbinger of what's to come. It felt like a very bad omen to me. And that is also, I don't mean to skirt over the fact of like, this is a person with a family, of course, but just on a larger scale, it felt very ominous to me. But you know what? I'm just going to try to handle what comes my way or whatever as the best that I can. And I'll resist when I can, as long as I can, and just keep on keeping on in this crazy world.
I'd like to offer a white pill if I can. I feel like sometimes it's easy for us to get stuck or lost in our echo chambers, and we either see the people that we're aligned with and the complete opposite, the people that are like fighting against us, or the bots that we see, probably mostly bots. But I've been trying to pay attention to the normies that are still somewhat part of my life, as far as like they're people I know in real life, so I know that it's not a computer bot or whatever. And I'm seeing more and more these conversations happening and maybe not to the extent, but these people are interested in what's being taught at their children's schools, and they're interested in what's being put in our food, and they're interested in what's being injected in their children's arms more and more every day. And I consider these small wins each time I see a new person doing it. And I'm having people sending me like reels or small clips of things like this that I would have never expected to receive from them. And they're not even people that I'm open to about these things. So it wasn't because they knew I'm into the truth that they're sending it to me. It's because they're finding the truth and wanting to spread it. So I feel like that's a huge white pill for me.
Well, the shakes of, shaking humanity doesn't really get much bigger than 2020, does it? I mean, if you didn't wake up through that and the immediate aftermath, there's something going on. It's not out much hope, really. But anyway, yes, Jim.
No,
You wanna say something?
there's still some, the ardent hardheads who are like, I did the right thing taking that shot, and I'd do it
Yeah.
again if I had to, by God.
I know. I got an email yesterday from a friend who I just realized, wow, nothing's changed out there. Like, you're all collectively still as blind and deaf as you were before. And they're calling me the crazy one. Hey, I didn't put my arm out and take some poison that I didn't know what was going in there. You reckon I'm crazy? Anyway.
And maybe the older generations are too far gone to be saved, and we have to focus on the youth.
At the end of the day, the people who are indoctrinating, the next wave of sheeple, they're always working on the youth, which is why I think it's an excellent time to end the show and mention that Stella has a brand new book out. Where has our blue skies gone? And you can find that at stellaq.com.au. stellaq.com.au. Go and get a copy of the book, because educating the youth is really the future. That's our future, and we got to get to them before they get to them. And I heard Lark say it about a dozen times about public school. I'm sure there may be some good public schools out there. They don't happen to be around my hometown. That's why my daughters are homeschooled. And I don't care what pain that will cause us. My wife, she's not going to work. She's going to take care of my kids and make damn sure. Oh, yeah. Look at, she caught me in the act.
Yeah, I got that screenshot.
Side by side, right
and
there.
the link to purchase the book is also in the show description, and we can put it in the show notes as well, but it's already right here in the description if you want to grab that.
Oh, terrific. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, gosh, I wasn't prepared at all. Thanks, guys. I'm hopeless with self-promo. I really am. No, that's great. All right, we can not share that anymore now. How do I do that? You can, I think you do that. Oh, no, stop sharing. There we are. Okay.
Me with the Commodore 64 logo.
little ribbing there.
Yeah.
Knew you could take it. Yeah, because you've got a super rocket fuel bloody computer that goes insane, and I was really jealous, so I gave you an old clunky Commodore 64 in the book. There we go. That was my revenge.
Hey, since this video is really long, and I know that Jeff's never going to watch this, and you cannot show that you got to promise you won't show him this.
He might be watching now. I can't promise anything.
He's not watching. He's not watching. Underneath my desk, I have this as a parting gift for Jeff.
Are you kidding?
This is a Asus Republic of Gamers 34-inch ultra wide monitor that's been left over for quite some time, and I just don't know if he'll be able to take it on the train back with him. But if he doesn't, then I'm going to.
I was going to say, yeah, is he taking the train? Because that could be a bit of a problem. All right, so 8 billion people. It's just between us, all right?
Yeah. just a little secret. I got that hid under my desk. I paid like $1,600 fucking for that monitor, and it's been just It's 100 hertz
Yep.
monitor. Like, you can't
jealous.
game on that thing, okay? Like, I have a 240 hertz monitor in front of me. Like, wow.
It's about the size of 2 of mine. So that's
But
nice. All right,
I've got 3, I got 3 260 hertz monitor and a gaming monitor in the center, so I've got no room for the damn thing now. It's
yeah.
just like, oh well.
I've got a similar setup monitor-wise. It's just, and I wouldn't mind a 4th. But anyway, all right. Let's stop with the monitor envy and move on. Thank you very much for joining us, Jim.
PC
Really
Master
appreciate.
Race.
That's
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no, really glad that you could join us. And if Lark's still there, which I don't know if he is, but he was in the chat before. Thank you to Lark as well for joining us. Thank you to the chat people. Again, the old faithfuls there and some new ones that I didn't recognize. And Ashley, thank you for pushing all those buttons there and doing all the things. Always good to see you, Perm, and your lovely sunset coming out of your ear. It's lovely.
Yeah,
It made
Big
me
Worm.
feel good. Good to see all of you, and you again, Jim.
Anytime, Big Worm. I mean, Big Perm.
I love it every time I hear it. I wore my jersey with Big Perm on it to the fair the other day, and I just heard people shouting at me all day, Big Perm!
Nice one. All right. Well, thank you to everybody for joining us, and for those in the future who will just be listening, we appreciate you as well. So, oh, Ashley, where can they find us, just in case anybody would like to? Because we're so unknown.
Well, Stella, I'm glad you asked. They can find us at unionoftheunknowns.com. That is our Linktree page, and it has all the myriad ways that you can get in touch with us and find us. So please feel free to do that.
Permnation.com also goes to that same Linktree page.
All right. And climateviewer.com to catch up with all Jim's huge myriad of websites and information. And on that note, I think we shall depart. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, ball boys, and bless you, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Later.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Union of the Unknowns. You can find new episodes every week on all your favorite podcasting networks.